Now, the coronation has been long in the planning, of course, and thoroughly rehearsed. It will run with military timing, absolutely nothing left to chance. Tens of thousands of people will be involved, all of them focused on making it the kind of special event Britain is so famous for. And nowhere does it better. Our correspondent John Ray guides us through what we can expect to see and when it'll all be happening.
It will be history on a grand scale, played out on the nation's greatest stage, an occasion few of us have witnessed before, one we're all invited to watch.
So many royal journeys have started here, but none is so momentous in the reign of a monarch. It will be a stunning spectacle, steeped in history, intended to live long in our memories. The day of the coronation.
7 decades since the last one, and a society transformed, but the purpose is unchanged.
We're going to see the King's first ceremonial outing, a parade before his people, receiving their assent to his reign. And ultimately, of course, as the old adage goes, you have to be seen to be believed.
In the Diamond Jubilee State Coach, the King and Queen Consort start their journey. Hydraulic suspension and air conditioning is a symbolic blend of new and old, with timber from HMS Victory and the Mary Rose. They leave Buckingham Palace shortly before 10:30 to travel down the Mall, through Admiralty Arch to Trafalgar Square, and then on along Whitehall, past the Houses of Parliament, arriving at their destination just before 11 o'clock.
From the roar of the crowd to the quiet of the Abbey, for all the talk there's been of modernisation, at the heart of this ceremony are ancient rites and rituals to anoint, to enthrone and to crown the new king.
The roots of anointing go back 3,000 years.
William the Conqueror, crowned here on Christmas Day 1066, would recognise the core of the service.
We're drawing on very, very deep wells. Here in the Abbey we have the Liber Regalis, beautiful illuminated manuscript, produced in the 1380s, reign of Richard II, tells us how to do a coronation. Actually, it's the playbook we still use.
Queen Elizabeth, your undoubted queen.
The ceremony starts with the act of recognition. The monarch is presented to the Abbey, historically, to ensure there's no mistaken identity. Then in front of the altar, the king takes a coronation oath, promising to uphold the law, to rule with justice and mercy, and to defend the established Anglican Church.
I solemnly promise so to do.
But in words added to the service, and in the presence of other faith leaders, the nation's diversity will be reflected, a significant change, close to the king's heart.
He is saying really clearly, I'm a member of the Church of England, and there is a special relationship with that church, but faith matters, and the presence of other faiths in the coronation is real and much more vivid than it's been before.
The most sacred part of the ceremony takes place at the historic St. Edward's Chair, where the king will be anointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury, with oils taken from the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, poured from a 17th century ampulla onto a 12th century spoon, the oldest artifact in the service. It's an intimate moment, deliberately shielded from public view, behind a specially made screen that depicts a tree with 56 leaves representing Commonwealth nations. At its base is the King's cipher.
It is a sacred moment, it's a traditional moment, but this is a moment between a very faithful Christian king and God. And that's why it's hidden, as it has been in the past.
There follows the presentation of symbols of the sovereign's authority, the sceptre to represent the king's earthly powers, and the orb to signify the Christian world. And then the climax of proceedings. The Archbishop of Canterbury will place the St. Edward's crown on the monarch's head. Solid gold, set with rubies, sapphires and other jewels, it weighs more than 2 kilograms. Heavy indeed is the head that wears the crown. Having taken possession of the kingdom, the monarch is symbolically lifted onto the throne. And then, for the first time since the accession of George VI, a king's consort will be crowned, and Camilla will be known officially as the Queen.
For some people it will be particularly poignant because the only other queen they've known is the late Queen Elizabeth. And I think it will then become very real to everybody that the page has been turned in the history of the monarchy.
Charles will leave the Abbey wearing the imperial state crown, exactly as his mother once did. He and his queen will board the gold state coach, used in every coronation since 1831. At the head of the biggest military procession since 1953, 6,000 members of the British Armed Forces and at least 35 Commonwealth nations marching together.
After the parade, the pomp and all the pageantry, there is still time for the observation of one final tradition. The appearance here before the crowds of the newly crowned King and Queen.
Eyes will be raised to the heavens for a military flypast, including a Battle of Britain Spitfire, on a day of iconic image making, designed to be replayed for generations to come. John Ray, ITV News.